The air in our bedroom usually felt full of excitement, like a secret. But the creak of the floorboards outside that day, I'll never forget it. It wasn't just a sound. It was like the new life I was trying to build was breaking apart. When Mark pushed open that door, the world didn't just flip, it crashed down. What he saw wasn't just a quick thing. It was the sudden, harsh reveal of me desperately wanting something more, and the scary mess that blew up because of it. Our life, Mark's and mine, it was comfy. And that was the problem, right? Comfy felt like a fancy jail. To everyone else, we were living the dream. Nice house, decent cars, jobs that paid for the kind of life people brag about online. We threw dinner parties, made sure our online stuff looked perfect, got all the thumbs up. It was all so carefully put together. But I'd look at our spotless living room, everything in its perfect spot, and feel like I couldn't breathe. It was perfect, yeah, but so stuck. Lately, I was always antsy, wanting something more than our boring routine. Mark was steady, reliable, busy, trying to get a promotion, probably thinking that being secure was all I needed. He just didn't get it, did he? The space growing between us. Our talks were just about bills, plans, and who we had to see. The excitement I wanted in a guy? It was barely there anymore. Then Liam came into my life. The energetic, driven trainer at that fancy gym I'd joined. Mark was happy about it, of course. "Great for you, honey," he'd said. He thought it was about getting fit. It was about feeling alive, feeling like someone saw me, feeling that strong pull to someone who just seemed successful and full of life. I'd come home buzzing, yeah, but it wasn't just about workouts. It was about Liam, his motivation, what he wanted to do. He saw something in me that Mark didn't seem to notice. I didn't realize that spark was about to start a huge fire. Our nice, normal life was hiding the big gap growing between us, an empty space I wanted to fill with someone who felt like an upgrade. It started like these things usually do, with that exciting feeling of breaking the rules. My gym time became my escape, getting longer and happening more often. 3 days a week became 5, then weekends too. "Liam's made a new program for me," I'd tell Mark, or, "He's really pushing me to do better." Liam's name was always coming up, proof of how much he was affecting me, how he understood what I wanted, not just with fitness, but with life. Then came the other changes, the little things I did for my new direction. The slick new workout clothes, the kind that make you look like you belong with a cooler crowd. My phone, which I used to just leave lying around, now felt like it held my future. So I kept it super close, always with me. When Mark asked about my day, I'd gush about the gym, about Liam's great ideas. If he asked more, about what we talked about besides training, I'd brush it off. "Just talking about big dreams, Mark. You'd find it boring." Feeling excited, mixed with a little bit of fear, became my new normal. Mark seemed distracted, stressed with work. I told myself he wouldn't notice, or maybe wouldn't care enough. We'd been together 8 years. He trusted me. Or so I thought. But the signs of my change were there, if he'd only bothered to look. A late text from Liam that made my heart jump, needing privacy for calls that were planning a different future. The way I'd tilt my phone, hiding my exciting new world. Every step was a small move closer to Liam, closer to the life I thought I deserved. My old life was starting to break, and something exciting but risky was happening. That comfy bubble of Mark's usual predictable routine, it popped on a Tuesday. He was supposed to be away for work overnight. Liam and I had plans, our first real chance alone in my own house, a place I was already imagining with a different guy. I'd come home, my heart beating fast with excitement, ready to get ready for Liam. Then, in my desk drawer, while I was looking for something ordinary, Mark found it. A small velvet jewelry box. Inside, a pretty gold bracelet from Liam. A real sign he liked me. Something nicer and more thoughtful than Mark had given me in years. It wasn't my birthday, not our anniversary. It was a promise of the kind of attention I really wanted. My gym bag was near the back door, something I'd forgotten about because I was so excited. If I was still at the gym, like I'd texted Mark earlier, after he randomly messaged me, why was my bag there? My heart sped up with a little bit of worry when he called asking where I was, but I played it cool. His trip was still on, I thought. He'd picked up my tablet. Our messages usually synced up. I don't know what made him do it, maybe a feeling that something was wrong. He opened my messages, and there it was. My whole exciting, secret world with Liam. Not just about training. Messages full of us laughing, making future plans. And then, the one that was the final proof. Last night was amazing. Can't wait to have you all to myself again. He's away next Tuesday, right? My place is too risky. Followed by me saying yes. Next Tuesday. The world tipped over. But not for me, not yet. For him. The business trip he was supposed to be on, it got moved. He hadn't told me he was going to surprise me. The surprise, it turned out, was on him. The life he thought we had wasn't just cracking, it was about to be swapped out. And he knew, with a feeling that must have scared him, that he couldn't ignore this. He had to see. He had to face the new life I was trying to create. While Mark was a mess of shock and anger, driving towards what he'd see as hell, I was at home, with a mix of nervous and excited feelings. He was supposed to be miles away. Liam was on his way. My place is too risky, Liam had said, and I'd agreed, but a part of me was thrilled by the guts to use our home, my home soon, as the place for us to connect. It felt like I was taking it back. I walked through the house, a little out of breath, waiting for Liam to get there. Everything, the slightly worn-out furniture Mark was happy with, the boring art seemed to show why I needed this change, why Liam with his drive and his style was the right pick. This wasn't just cheating. It was a tryout for a new life, a better main guy. When I saw his cool sports car pull up, that familiar, exciting feeling shot through me. This was it. This was the clear sign of the better choice I was making. He looked like he fit the role. He was the role. As he walked in all charming and confident, the last bits of my old life seemed to disappear. Mark, our comfy but boring past, was basically gone. The pretend perfect marriage I had built up was about to be replaced by something way more amazing. Upstairs in the main bedroom, the air was buzzing with energy. Liam was everything Mark wasn't. Into me, paid attention, and only cared about me. This felt right, like I was finally playing the part I was meant for. The sounds of our secret closeness, the soft laughs, the whispered plans for the future, it was the music for my new start. Our safe place? It was finally becoming mine, with the right guy. Then, a creak on the stairs. A flash of worry, but I brushed it off. The house creaks. We were safe, lost in our moment, the moment I thought was locking in my escape to a more exciting life. My hand in Liam's, his eyes on mine. This was the approval I'd been looking for. The doorknob turned. My heart jumped, not with excitement this time, but with a sudden, scary fear. Mark. The scene that blew up in front of me will be burned into my brain forever. Mark, standing there, his face a look of total shock and pain. Liam. Me. Busted. In our bed. The shock felt like being hit, his eyes wide and blaming, staring right at me. Liam, next to me, scrambling around, suddenly looking less like a strong partner and more like a scared idiot. Time stopped. The air was thick with what was obvious, what was disastrous. My careful plan to move up hadn't just run into a problem, it totally blew up in my face. The silence after was super loud, the scary start to everything falling apart. For a scary second, nobody moved. Just the picture, the people building a new life caught in the act, and the guy whose life was being wrecked watching it all. Then everything exploded. Liam, panicked, was the first to move, awkwardly grabbing for clothes, trying to find a way out. I just stared at Mark, my face a picture of slowly realizing how awful this was, the bright colors fading from my new world. Mark's voice, when it finally cut through the quiet, was a deep, rough sound I barely knew. Get out. Not asking, a command, raw with an anger that had been bubbling under his calm look, now exploded. Mark! It's not what it looks like, I stuttered, pulling the sheet around me, my voice shaking. The classic desperate line. It sounded weak even to me. Not what it looks like? He laughed, a harsh, broken sound that scared me. Are you blind, Sarah, or do you think I am? In our bed, in our home? His voice got louder, breaking with pain and anger. Liam, now quickly putting on clothes, mumbled something about a mistake, about needing to explain. He looked smaller, not the strong, sure guy I thought I'd picked. You! Mark turned on him, his body stiff. You have nothing to explain. You just need to get out of my house and my life before I do something we'll all regret. Mark was shaking with pure anger. He wanted to hit something, but something held him back. The damage was already huge. Mark, please, just listen to me, I begged, tears finally starting. It just happened. Happened? He spat the word. Things don't just happen, Sarah. Choices are made. You chose this. You chose him, in our bed. The accusation hung there, heavy and undeniable. I just broke down. I started sobbing, a flood of excuses spilling out. You were never here. You were always working. He understood me. He listened to me. I was blaming Mark, yes, because in my head, him not being ambitious, his happiness with boring stuff, had pushed me to find someone who matched my own need for more. It was a desperate try to make my choice look like it was his fault. He listened to you? Mark waved his arms wildly around our room, now a war zone. Is this what understanding looks like? Is this what you wanted? The nice decorations, the things from our life together, now seemed to make fun of my dreams. All of this, our life, was it all a lie to you? The shouting got louder. We threw accusations back and forth. Years of my unsaid complaints, my wanting a more exciting partner, now used against me because of what I did. Liam, watching the fire he'd helped start, was slowly moving to the door, getting his stuff. He gave me a quick look. Was it pity? Fear? But didn't help. He just wanted to get out. The better man was turning out to be a coward, someone who just used the problems in my marriage for his own fun. The argument was a storm of pain, my desperate excuses against his pure anger. Every word was like a hammer, making the space between us into a huge gap that couldn't be fixed. My excuses about wanting a partner who really saw my worth, who could give me a more exciting future, sounded more and more empty as Liam got quieter and quieter. I was lonely, Mark, I cried, holding on to the story that it wasn't my fault, that it was because he wasn't there for me. Liam made me feel alive. He saw what I could be. Alive? He yelled, the sound bouncing off the walls of the room that now felt like a trap. And what about me, Sarah? How do you think this makes me feel? Dead inside? Is that what you wanted? Liam, grabbing a quiet moment, or maybe just his chance, finally got away. He mumbled a weak, "I should go," looking at the door, not at me. "Yes," Mark bit out, his voice dangerously quiet. "You should." Liam didn't wait. He basically ran, leaving behind a few clothes and the smoking mess of my big plan. As the door clicked shut, an awful quiet fell, broken only by my choked crying. Him quickly and totally leaving me was a harsh wake-up call. The connection, the understanding I thought I had with Liam, the basis of my dream of marrying up, was shown to be a selfish fantasy. He wasn't my hero. He was just someone who started the disaster. With Liam gone, it was just Mark and me, in the middle of the mess. The rush started to fade, and a cold, empty feeling took over. The fight wasn't over, but it changed. The explosive anger turned into the clear, obvious truth that I'd messed up badly. I looked at Mark, really looked at him. And I saw not just a husband I'd betrayed, but the safe ground I had so carelessly blown up trying to get something better that just disappeared. "Get your things, Sarah," he said, his voice flat, without the anger from before, now just huge, tired ending. "I want you out of this house." My head shot up. Panic, raw and new, grabbed at me. "Mark, no! Please! We can fix this. I know we can." But I wasn't sure what this even was anymore. The guy I thought was better had left, and my backup plan was gone. I knew, with a feeling that froze me to my core, that some bets, when you lose, cost everything. The trust, the life I had, even if it wasn't perfect, was gone. We'd crossed that line the moment Mark opened that bedroom door, and Liam walked out of it. What do you do when you shoot for the moon and fall flat on your face, losing everything? I thought I was choosing a better, happier life, with a partner who really wanted the same things I did. But the dream turned into a nightmare. Was I wrong to want more? Or did I just pick the wrong way? The wrong guy? Let me know what you really think in the comments. And if this story has you hooked, hit that like button and subscribe. Because what happened right after, the mess from this terrible bet, was a whole new kind of awful. Liam's escape left a huge empty silence. He was gone. The man I'd put all my hopes into, the one I'd risked my whole world for, had disappeared, leaving me to deal with the mess by myself. The main bedroom, the place I'd briefly imagined as the setting for my new, better life, now felt like a grave, dirty and spoiled. My crying calmed down into shaky, hiccupy breaths. The fight was gone from me, replaced by a slowly growing hopeless fear. Those excuses I'd thrown at Mark about him not being involved, my loneliness, how Liam understood me, they sounded sad and weak even to me. The fantasy of my affair, my smart move towards a better man, had crashed horribly into reality. Liam hadn't been stronger, just more careless. "Mark," I started, my voice small, broken, totally different from how confident I was before. "Please don't do this. Don't throw away everything we've built." Even as I said it, I knew how fake that sounded. "We built?" he asked, the words full of a mean joke. "What exactly did we build, Sarah? A life you were dying to swap for something better? A marriage you secretly hated enough to bring another man into our bed?" The anger was still there, but it was an icy coldness now, a hard, stubborn center of pain. You talk about not throwing it away, you already did. You made the bet, and you lost. I tried to go near him to show, that I was sorry, desperate. He pulled back like my touch was poison. "I made a mistake," I whispered, the biggest understatement ever. "A terrible, terrible mistake. I see that now." A mistake, he repeated, the word totally not enough for the huge gap I'd made. This wasn't a small mistake in a game, Sarah. This was planned destruction. You chose to lie, to betray, to break everything. The terrible, real-life questions started popping up, sharp and unwanted. What now? Where could I even go? Liam was obviously not going to help. The thought of taking our life apart, the life I'd so recently looked down on but which now seemed like a perfect place I'd lost, was too much. But one thing was scarily clear. I couldn't stay. The us I had didn't appreciate and then tried to throw away for something newer was dead. And my bet to get a better guy left me with no guy at all. Those carefully built lives Mark thought we shared? From my side, I'd been trying to build a new one, a better one, with Liam as the main focus. Now both were blown up. There was no saving my big plan, no fixing the huge hole in my life. The dream of my big escape, my climb to a better level, smashed to pieces. The pieces were broken into too many bits, too messed up by Liam being a coward and Mark's understandable anger. I meant what I said, Sarah, Mark said, his voice strong, cutting through my confusion. You need to pack a bag. You need to leave. Tonight. My face fell. The part of me that took smart risks had disappeared, replaced by a scared woman with no choices. Where will I go? I asked, the question showing the sudden emptiness of my future. Just hours ago, I'd felt like I was about to have it all. Now I had nothing. I don't know, Sarah, he said, and the real not caring in his voice was maybe the worst part. You could call Liam. Maybe he can offer you the life you were looking for. The sarcasm was a bitter reminder of Liam's quick exit, of how totally wrong I'd been about him. He wasn't my ticket to a better life. He was just something that looked good, but was worthless. I stared at him, the fact that his words were final hitting me, my desperate begging, my tries to make what I did seem okay, had failed. I had tried to marry up, to get a better guy, and in doing that, I'd not only failed to get the upgrade, but had also lost the steady life I used to ignore. Slowly, without feeling anything, I began to grab a few things. The only sounds were clothes being carelessly thrown into a bag, and my own sad sniffles because I'd lost. Watching myself, it was like watching someone I didn't know. This was the woman who had been so sure, so confident in her charm and her plan. Now she was just packing a bag with nowhere to go. As I walked out of the bedroom, bag in hand, there were no big goodbyes. Just a heavy, choking quiet, filled with the memories of my dreams and my huge mistake. I heard my own footsteps on the stairs, the click of the front door opening, and then closing behind me, shutting me out of the life I'd had and the life I'd so stupidly bet and lost. The house, once my fancy prison, then for a short time the stage for the moment I thought I'd win, now felt like a faraway memory. The quiet that surrounded me as I stood outside wasn't peaceful. It was the silence of total emptiness, the scary quiet after a bomb I set off myself. My carefully built plan for a better life was gone, turned into dust and ruins, and in its place only a huge, unsure, and super scary empty future was ahead. The trust I'd broken, the love I'd looked down on, the dreams I'd chased without thinking, all disappeared into thin air. The only thing left was the clear, harsh truth of my failed attempt to marry up, and the long, tough time I'd have living with what I did.